MySQL provides a wide variety of string functions for use in your queries. I'll cover the major ones here. In this lesson, we'll be using the world database, and we'll start with a simple query that gets the length of the local name from the country table. And so we're going to select, and we'll get both name and local name, but we're just going to take the length of the local name using the length function. And we're selecting just for where continent equals Europe, so we have a manageable list of countries. And we'll order it by that length. And you notice that I gave the length an alias using the as clause. And I'm using that as clause for the order by, so that we don't have to use the whole length function twice in the query. We'll order descending so that the larger ones are at the top. And I'll press go. And here we have our lengths. And so you can see the local name here and the length of the local name. And here's something interesting to notice. Let's get down to some of the smaller ones. You see the ones with accented characters. This one here has 6 letters, but it shows the length as 7. And that discrepancy is because the accented letter actually takes up 2 bytes in the Unicode character set. This is UTF-8. And so some of the accented letters take up 2 bytes rather than just 1. And so the length of España, even though it's 6 letters, shows up as 7 because the length function is actually counting the bytes rather than the characters. So there's another version of the length function called charlength, char_length. And if we use that instead, you notice that our result is different. We get down here to some of the smaller ones again. Here you can see España, which was 7 before, is now 6. And Romania shows as 7 instead of 8. And that's because now we're counting the characters rather than the bytes. Of course, the character length function will take a little bit longer because it has to parse out the Unicode and compare it to a table and all, whereas the length function can just count bytes. But if you're really concerned with length and character, then character length is the function that you'll want to use. There are also string functions for subsets. Can take out this order by because we're not going to be using length anymore. And now we'll select name and some subsets of name. We'll say left, and that will get the left 3 characters from the name column. And we can do the same thing with right. And there's one called mid for getting substrings from the middle of a string. And this takes 2 parameters. So we'll say name, comma 2, comma 3. And that will get the 3 characters starting at the second character position. And so when I say go here, you see that here we have the left 3 letters, the right 3 letters, so starting from the right, NIA, and the middle 3 starting at the second column. So that would be LBA, or in this case, NDO. So it's very simple. These are simple ways to get substrings from strings using left, right, and mid. There's also concatenation functions. We can concatenate name and local name. And this will simply take those 2 columns and jam them together like this. So if you wanted to put something in between them using concatenate, you would have to, or we can say comma space, and you would concatenate that literal string along with it, and that would work fine. Or you can say concatenate with separator, WS, and we can take that separator and put it as the first parameter. And that way we could also concatenate some other things if we wanted to, say region and continent. And those will all be concatenated with the separator, a comma space, or we could use a slash like this. And so you can concatenate with or without the separators. Concat_WS is the version with separators. There's also a locate function. Let's start this just to show you how it works without a query from a table. We can say locate bar in foo bar baz, and it will give us the character position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, it should return a 4. And there's our 4. So it says that the string bar begins at the 4th position within that other string foo bar baz. And of course you can use this in a query from a table. So you can say locate Stan, and we'll give it a name here first so we can see the whole name. From name column, from country where continent equals Europe, or rather where name like, and it has the string Stan in it. And so there's our countries with Stan in them. You notice it's towards the end of all of them, but we have that. Starts at the 8th position in Afghanistan, the 6th position in Kazakhstan, or we can simply locate a single letter if we want to. K, and I'll put my K in the like as well. And these are all the countries with K's in them. We got 26 rows. So the locate function is great for locating a string within another string. There's also simple functions for uppercase and lowercase, and they also work for Unicode. And you'll notice that this lowercase e with the accent over it, the double dots, the umlaut, comes up in uppercase here. And there's another lowercase e like that, and some of these other ones here. There's the /o. And likewise, there's one for lowercase, so I can type lower here and lower here. And it does the same thing, except it makes them lowercase. And you'll notice this capital O in Österreich is made into a lowercase o. And finally, there's a function for reversing character strings. And that also works with Unicode. Now you see our strings are reversed. So MySQL provides a rich set of string functions. These are just the most commonly used. You can see the MySQL documentation for the rest of them.